Hello friends and welcome back to the farm. I'm Susie, the owner and creator here. I have a vintage booth in a local boutique store. I love to go thrift store shopping and turn the thrifted items into more in-style home decor, and I like to show you guys how I do that on this channel. If that's the kind of content you like, please don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you know when I upload a new video. Today's video is a thrift flip video. In our first project, I came across this metal tea kettle at a thrift store. I think I paid $2.99 for it. It's in really good shape. It just did not have a lid, but I thought that we could use it as a planter. And the first thing I'm going to do is clean it up really well, and I am going to use one of the newest IOD molds called Juliette. This is the first time I'm getting to use this mold, and it is full of beautiful roses. Before you use your molds with clay, you want to dust them with cornstarch. I'm going to go ahead and dust this whole thing. I'm not sure what I'm going to actually use, so I'm going to go ahead and make the whole thing up. Now, I will say that this mold is a little bit harder to use than some of the other one, just because there is so much detail and so many different depths on it. But if you just take your time and slowly work your clay into it, you will eventually get it all molded. And I also do recommend, after you get all your clay molded in here with this mold, especially, pop your whole mold and clay into the freezer for about 15 minutes before you try to turn it out. That will just help it be a little bit more firm for you, and it makes it easier to come out when you have all these teeny tiny little details on this one. I did not have time to do that here, so you can see that I do struggle a little bit to get it out, but I'm going to use gravity to help me on all four corners, and eventually I do get it all out. Now, once I do get it out, I am amazed at all the beautiful detail on these roses. Look at that, y'all. And I am not going to be able to use all of this on the tea kettle, so I'm just going to take a little knife and cut off the pieces where I want to use it. I want to cut it where it kind of looks natural. I mean, roses kind of grow all over the place anyway. And then I am going to glue it on to this kettle. The way I'm going to glue it is I'm going to take some Gorilla Glue, and I'm just going to put it all over the back of the mold. And I'm going to take a little detail brush just to push all the glue around to make sure that all the edges and the center and everything is coated really well with this glue. I also want to let it have just a minute to sit up, because if I don't, when I put it onto the tea kettle, it will slide around, since it is a round surface that it can move around on. But I do want to glue this on, before it dries, because I want it to shape to the mold of the kettle. So once you get it on, you want to gently tap to make sure that all your glue makes contact. And I also had this little silver dish or platter, so I'm going to put the rest of the roses on it. Platters make great little hanging decor. You can easily put a sawtooth hanger on the back also with this Gorilla Glue. I do that all the time, and they sell really well. So this is the next day. My clay is dry. Normally, I do paint my clay when it's wet, and that will eliminate a lot of the cracking that can happen before you paint it. But I wanted this to dry in place and not be able to move around. I'm using a pointed sash brush by Stallmaster, and this is the number 14, and it is perfect for getting in all the little details. And I am using Fusion Mineral Paint in the color Cast Iron. This is also my first time using this paint, and I am in awe of this black color. It is so gorgeous and rich, and 2 coats, and these are looking amazing. But we're going to take it up a notch. And again, I'm going to use this wax. This is rose gold wax. by Fusion. At first, I was just going to put it on the flowers, and I'm using a little detail brush to make sure that the wax gets down in all of those little crevices and cracks. This is also my first time using this wax, and I am loving the beautiful sheen of it. What do you guys think of this wax? I also, like I said, was just going to do just the flowers, but in the end, I decided to go ahead and wax the entire piece just to make it all kind of uniform. And then once I get it all waxed, I'm going to take a dry paper towel and wipe back all of the excess. And I'm going to do the same thing on the kettle and let the wax dry. And I think these turned out so stinking pretty, and I am loving this color. I'm definitely got 2 end tables that I want to paint this color, so I'm going to be doing that soon. I've got to move some furniture out, but I absolutely love how these turned out. They're very elegant and classic looking. What do you guys think about this rose gold wax over the black paint? For project number 2, I picked up this pillar candle holder at a yard sale for $3. It's Pottery Barn. It's super heavy and really big, but it wasn't in great shape. I could see the seams, and there was some damage to the wood a little bit. So we're going to hide that and really bring this up a few notches. I'm using Fusion in the color Chateau, and we are going to add the Fresco texture powder to this. It just gives it a lot of texture, and you can add as much or as little as you want. I do want to add a lot of texture to this, so I'm going to do 2 scoops of the texture powder and then stir it up. And I just love the way that makes this paint go on. Can't remember. This is Chateau. This is my favorite off-white that Fusion makes. It's so soft and beautiful. It takes 2 coats, and it easily covers this pillar with this texture powder in it. And once it is dried, you can see all the beautiful, gorgeous texture that this makes. After the 2 coats have dried, I do think that we need to bring back a little bit of that dark wood from underneath. So I am going to be distressing this. See, look at all that texture. I don't know if y'all can really see it on camera well, but it is so pretty. So I'm going to use my little finger sander and just bring back some of that dark wood from underneath. I just feel like this aging texture just needs to have some distressing. It just makes it look really natural to me when it's distressed. And this pillar candle holder turned out so beautiful and is such an upgrade to how it was. There's so many different ways you could style this. You could use it as a bookend. I had this really large cloche that almost fit perfectly. Actually, I guess it did fit perfectly on it. And it was tall enough to leave a bird underneath the cloche. Do you guys think that I should sell it this way in the booth? Or should I sell them separately? Or do they just not look right together to you? I think they look good together. For today's third project, I have had this little cross in my stash for a while. It's beautiful. It came from Hobby Lobby. Looks like it was $7 originally. I think I probably paid $1 for it. But I love the verse on the front of it, and I just felt like these colors just did not highlight that. So we're going to give it a little bit of upgrade. I'm going to use the same Chateau with the fusion texture in it, but I did add just a little more paint because I did not want much texture, because I really want those indented words to show, and I don't want texture in them, because we're going to use that same rose gold wax to highlight the words inside this cross. I'm just going to paint this up. It takes 2 coats to get it covered really well. We're going to let it dry, and then we're going to use the wax and push it into all of those details on the cross, and especially in the verse, to bring out those words. And see how that wax goes down into those words and you can see them once again. I absolutely love that. And I love this color wax over this light color almost as much as I loved it over the black. So I'm just going to use my little detail brush and get this wax in all of the crevices, and again take a dry paper towel, wipe back all the excess, let it dry, and that's just how simple and easy this thrift flip is. And I think it makes such a big statement and changes the whole look of this cross. The next few projects are going to be working through my ridiculous stash of frames. I got out several of my gold ones here, including this one bifold, almost brass looking, and we're going to do a few different techniques with these frames. For the first one, I want to use the decoupage paper, the new Roycycled decoupage paper. But first, I am going to cut down just some watercolor paper to fit the frames. And then we're going to break out the Roycycled decoupage paper. And this is the new fall Botanicals, and it is full of birds and flowers and a lot of script and ephemera, and I thought this would be perfect in this bifold frame. So all I'm going to do is just decoupage the paper onto the watercolor paper that I cut out. So I start with a starter strip of the Fusion Transfer Gel, and then I wet my decoupage paper. I just find that that makes the wrinkles so much easier to get out, and I just really don't have any wrinkles when I just dampen the paper just a little bit. So I do the starter strip and then work my way all the way down, doing small sections at a time, wetting the paper, using my foam brush to smooth out any wrinkles, and then I let them dry and put them back in the frames, and that's all there is to this one. For the other two frames, we're kind of going to do the same thing, except we're going to use transfers. And I have this a little bit left of the entomology transfer book here. So I still have lots of butterflies and some fish. and some bugs. So I thought that the butterflies would be really cute in these frames. So I'm just going to cut out a couple for each, and I also cut out more of that watercolor paper. I'm going to place the butterflies or moths or whatever these are and just transfer them onto the paper. These go on super easy on this paper, and I did at the last minute decide to put some script in between them as well. I did not get that on camera, but this color of this watercolor paper goes perfect with these transfers and looks so good in these frames. If you've never used an IOD transfer before, they are super easy. All your transfer packs come with this little plastic tool for rubbing your transfers, and you just take your plastic backing off and you rub your transfers on to your project. Transfers do need to be sealed on an open project. I'm not going to seal these because they are going to be behind glass and will be fully protected. The last project is going to be more frames and more transfers. I have these different shaped wood frames. One of them, I love the rectangle shape, and I saw the fish from the entomology transfer earlier and thought that the fish would be so nice in these frames. We just got a boat, and it's a cabin cruiser boat where, you know, you can sleep down in it, and y'all know me, I can't just have it plain and not somehow decorated just a little bit. So I thought I would make these for the boat and use some command strips or something to hang them on the wall. I wanted these to be like a really matte color, and I'm using Dixie Belle color in Gravel Road, and I'm using my pointed sash brush again. This is by far my favorite brush to use, and I love this color gray. It also kind of reminds me of Fusion Hazelwood. I could have used that color as well, but I really like this chalk paint color. And also, for the transfers, instead of cutting out the paper, I have some old dinner napkins, like linen dinner napkins that had some stains on it. And I thought that I would use those as the background. So I just cut them to the size of the frame, and we're going to put the transfer directly over the fabric. And I love the color of these napkins, and the transfers go on them really well. So this is one of the bigger fish from the entomology. It's going to go in the long rectangle frame. I did, however, have to rob a few fish from the Melrose Pages transfer for the smaller square frame, just because the longer ones did not fit, but they still match this fish and the frames and the background and everything. I decided to put 3 fish in a row in the little square frame, and I think they turned out so cute lined up, and they match the big fish really well. And I just love how these turned out. I really couldn't envision what to do with these fish, but this turned out so much better than I expected. And that's the whole thing with that entomology transfer book. I mean, you really don't think that you could make frogs look good, but if you just do them in groupings of 2 or 3 of different things, they will look so good together. That is all I have for you today. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this thrift flip video. Don't forget, if you're looking to create some of these projects on your own, you can get all the IOD, Roycycled decoupage paper, and fusion mineral paint on my website, susieonthefarm.com. I hope to see you guys again next week.